Hello guys, today I'm here to present you my work on this costume. It has been inspired by Jamie Fraser from Outlander, and precisely what you can wear in the first season. Well, let's start with the accessories. The shield being the first. This shield, well, you will have a full tutorial on my channel already concerning how I did it, and just to cover it briefly, it's made out of plywood, about 1 centimeter and a half. You have also a cowhide covering the outside, different goat hide there on the inside. You have padding, of course, here, and also you can notice that this strap wasn't probably on the original design, but well, it's much more convenient to have a strap like this to carry a shield, so I prefer to add this kind of little things when possible. So I invite you to check out the tutorial. Another accessory that already have also its own tutorial is the sporan there. This belt bag, once again to go briefly through the object, is made out of leather. You have the strongest leather, that is the thin cowhide there for the flap, and also for the back, for the strap here for the belt, and also the same hide have been used for the ropes there, the leather ropes. And you have once again a goat hide here for the pouch part, which is lighter and more flexible. So in order to know how I made this prop, it's simple, just check my tutorial on my channel. Those weapons came both from Battle Merchant. You have the broadsword and the dirk. It's not exactly what you will have when you will buy something from a shop. These have been a bit redesigned. First, this strap here, I made it myself with a buckle that I bought. And for the sword itself also, it's not shiny metal like here that you will find on a website. Nope, because I removed the basket and the pommel. Everything is screwed actually, so you unscrew it, you remove every single part, and I removed every single covering made out of a thick, too thick layer of paint that was first here to protect from rust, I guess, and also I removed the fabric that was right in here. There was a red fabric. I removed everything. Also for the handle here, I changed it. I keep the wooden core, but I cover it with a piece of leather that was, to me, very suitable and comfortable as well. And I stitch it on the side there, in the front side where my knuckles will be. And then when everything has been cleansed, I put it back together, I screw, and you have a sword that is a bit different from what you will see from the shop directly. But it do the trick. It do the trick quite well. For the scabbard there, the one you will get with the sword is made of carbon. Well, and it's actually the one you will see there. I just removed the end, the butt there. I covered everything in leather, a thin leather, which is all stitched at the back, and I also added a stronger leather at the top here in order to maintain correctly the sword with the proper shape here for the beginning of the guard. And this also, this thickness, help to prevent the sword from sliding. sliding from the belt I made. And this way, you see, it's easier to carry. Also, a little thing concerning the way I pattern the belt, it's pretty simple actually. Just see, you have one end there and another end there. It's actually pretty close to a 90-degree angle. And this, once you put it on your shoulder, will find its place right on your hips. It will hang correctly, and also you'll have an easy way around for removing the sword from the scabbard without being disturbed by the scabbard itself. Sugan Weapon here is the dirk, and this one, as I said, came also from Better Merchant. I really had very few things to do on this in order to make it a bit more screen accurate. One is simply to add brass rivets there in order to hold a bit more the strap for the belt in place. Otherwise, well, no wonder they did it in the production as well, because otherwise the dirk will be just jiggling around from left to right and will fall also from its scabbard. That way it holds a vertical line here in alignment with your leg, and that way you prevent a bit the falling of your dirk. But this is actually the closest thing I found, really the closest thing to the screen, and it's really suitable. I like the shape, and the thing that you have to know is that this baby is a bit sharp. There, well, it's actually sharp and really pointy. It's not like the sword that have no sharp edge and which is a bit rounded at the top, but this one could be really nasty, so be careful with that. Also, you will notice perhaps that the scabbard there have a different color from what you will see on shop. It's simply because I provided a lot of grease in order to make it more flexible, in order to help the leather to stay alive, because leather are somewhere, yeah, it's still a living matter, so you have to feed it, and the proper way to feed a leather is with the proper grease. And that way I have something which is much more flexible and which also will feel a bit less wooden-like, and once again it helps to create this screen accuracy. For the belt, well, it's simple. I just buy a buckle that was the closest I could find, which is not exactly the same, yes, I admit it, but it's the closest I could find so far, and after all, it's quite simple to do a belt. I won't make a tutorial about that. And for the hat there, well, thankfully, as I'm French, in Paris, you know, they're just selling tons and tons and tons of art like this with a silly, yeah, see part there right in the center. I never understood why there was that. I never searched more for this, but I just removed this part in the middle when I found a hat made out of wool that was very suitable and have a good shape. The good color as well was important, and the good type of wool, because you have different kind of art like this, from the cheapest to the one that will cost a lot for absolutely nothing most of the time. No reason about that, but this one I had it at a good price and was very suitable. I have a friend which is working on the Murtag costume for her boyfriend, and she did the same for the art. It was no big deal. Concerning the kilt, well, it's not hard to do a kilt. Actually, it's just a long piece of fabric. You just fold it, you lay on it, grab a belt, put it around your waist, stand up, adjust, and you're good. It's really simple. But for the fabric, yeah, I buy it on the shop that my friend, which is working on Murtag and also different clays, robes, bought it. I bought it on a website. I will provide a link, as well as I will provide a link for the dirk, the sword, on Battle Mansion, so you can find it there. And I'll probably give you a link also for this, for the kilt. And going down, well, you have the boots that have been made by my good friend Ferret, Jean-Baptiste Ferret, which is an awesome craftsman. He probably he did actually nearly all my boots and shoes. Well, because the guy is just great. And this is not in his shop, actually. It's a design that I provided, and he just made the boots perfectly. They're really comfortable. They're really made of a great leather. It's really, well, there is a reason why I always come back to Jean-Baptiste, to Ferret, because they're one of the best around. For me, well, for all the shoemakers, they're probably in the top 3 of everything I've tried so far. And in those marvelous boats that once again I'll provide you with a link in it in order to check out Jean-Baptiste Ferret's shop and see what he do with his hand. It's gorgeous. There you will notice also the socks, and the socks, well, I found it once again on the web there, and it's made of pure wool that have been knit, which is actually very comfortable. I have the same kind of, well, not exactly the same kind, but something very close for my tragicomics, for my Kilt costume, and yeah, it's surprisingly easy to stand this even when you are under a very warm weather. It's not that terrible actually, and it won't get all wet from sweat as well, because it's wool. And when you are used to cotton socks, which end up like just keeping all the sweat and very, well, whatever, this would be a better option. Well, I don't understand why we made socks for a long time out of wool. Concerning the vest, there you have at the front wool, and all the lining have been made of a blind which was part cotton, part linen. I can't remember how much of linen or how much of cotton, but it was a blend, and it's actually nearly the same on the back here. And you can notice also the lacing there, like you will see also on the show. This helps to adjust the vest right on your chest, and a good fitting came from that. Otherwise, well, you just have to be really, really close to the body, and you have not much more margin for the movement. And actually, yes, this kind of thing was really useful in order to help for the movement, to give a little window to breathe also for your back, and it's something very accurate. You can find this in 18th century a lot. Yeah, this and other way to finish the back part is not the only way to do it, but it's accurate. According to my research, it's a blend between what you will see at the beginning of the 18th century and what you will see also at the end, when the present time was the Jacobite wars for Jamie. And it's not a problem according to what I know from history and the costume in history, to have something which would like to call it retro now, because it's inspired a bit by design that are older to the one that was actually known as current time for the Jacobite war. But it's also important to notice that it's not in every strat, in every part of the population that the fashion re-evolves. Even if at the time we are speaking for the 18th century, it's not really comparable to the antiquity or the beginning in the medieval ages. But still, we know that in some part of Europe also the evolution is really slower than you will see perhaps in other parts as well. This vest is really a blend of this oldish look, retro 18 retro look, and the design that it's admitted as the more common during the Jacobite wars. But it's also really coherent for what I saw, because it just have this in between, when you have the older look that still have very its root in the design, but it's not at all the main construction that occur. The construction is also really more modern, once again modern for its time. And well, it's really interesting to see all the design blending together. And I guess I haven't spoke with the guys in charge in the production. I have no clue actually. I just suppose that they did their research, they found something that was kinda suitable for the time, that was matching their expectation, and that have a nice look for the character. There is plenty of different things that you can notice also, because actually the kilt is something very, let's say not peasant-like, but for most of the rich people at the time, it wasn't a thing at all. They was all wearing breeches and trousers that could, yes, have this checked fabric, yes, but it's not like the kilt was like the main thing you will see in Scotland, no. And actually the series did a good render of this, because actually Jamie is not always wearing a kilt. There is some moment, yes, a lot of them, but not only. According to what I saw and to what I read and researched, well, it's quite coherent according to what we know for the era. All the buttons there have been dyed in order to give a bit of shade, because it was like too bright to me. And once again, the idea was to make it match the wool I have there, and in order to match it and also to be more screen accurate, I dyed it in order to see those shades there. You'll probably notice those shades much better on pictures that I will post on social medias. For the shirt, once again, I did some research. I also looked upon what could have been the design according to the series, because well, sometimes, you know, there is choices that was pretty different from historical accuracy in the series, and I try to be here a bit screen accurate also. And for shirt, it's made out of linen. It's actually the same linen I used then for the Assassin's Creed Black Flag shirt I did. And this was the first shirt I made for the 18th century, and then after I made my Edward Kenway shirt. And I used here for the button on the wrist, the button made out of bone, because well, I saw there was a little button which was white, and what could have been, except for bones. And the bone industry have been actually something we forgot. But for ages, well, I should say centuries, we used bones for many little things throughout the world. And having there buttons made out of bone just makes sense. If you want, once again, the idea was for me to be screen accurate and also avoid all the modern interpretation that could have been done. And well, I try to be honest with you, and I prefer to interpret this as a button made out of bone, which once again I have to tell you was very common. It was very common to use bone for centuries, and it just disappeared quite recently if you look upon the whole history of our world and Europe. Concerning the pattern, you have a sleeve there. You have also a rectangle that is the wrist there, and you have also a little very long rectangle here on the shoulder to prevent, I guess, the tearing of the material of the linen, which actually makes sense because when I was wearing nearly every day at work my undergarment when I was working in Alesia, the battlefield in which Caesar defeated Vercingetorix, and I worked there for years. Well, and we were all wearing Roman Gallish costumes for our work, and all the day fighting also in those costumes. So then you a lot of sweats, a lot of tears, and they broke, mostly there. That's why when you started to patch up your tunics with a piece of linen, a bit somewhere like that, just you pick a rectangle, patch it, you just made it much stronger, and it will hold for a longer time right after you patch it. So it makes sense now that you want to have something that will be durable in time to have this part here when you have the front and the back that are joining together to make it stronger with this kind of little patches there, which prevent also the tearing of the fabric where it will probably be the more stressed. And for the collar there, it's once again a rectangle here, and you have around it a little piece of fabric on linen that make like a tie around it, and this tie is made out of linen again, and just removing it, you have here no buttons at all, because this shirt I based it on what I could have seen on the scene where Jamie goes for skirmish with the shield there, and the shirt that he's wearing have no button for what I could see on the screen, and I based the collar there on it. So when I removed everything and just have the shirt on, it could look exactly like you could see it on the screen. I hope this little video has been interesting and that you will have learned a bit about costume and the story behind both the creation and also the history that inspired this costume. If you have any requests concerning a costume that I made in the past, I could do the same video concerning how I made them, or I craft or redesign some stuff. Well, just name a few if you have ideas, and I'll be continuing this idea where I review my costume and the evolution for some of those with Middle Earth. Well, I hope you enjoyed. See ya!